Tonight, when the cell door closes behind you, there is only one question that matters. Can you survive 1 week? Forget everything movies taught you about medieval prisons. There are no daring escapes, no clever lawyers, no rights, and no appeal. Just cold stone, darkness, and the slow realization that the world outside has already started forgetting your name. The year is somewhere around 1350. Your crime? Maybe you stole a loaf of bread, maybe you insulted the wrong noble, or maybe someone simply accused you. At this point, it barely matters. The heavy oak door closes behind you, the sound echoes through the corridor, and then silence. Your first instinct is to look around, but that turns out to be difficult. There is not much light, just a small slit high above your head letting in a ribbon of gray daylight. The room is barely larger than a modern bathroom, and the floor is packed dirt mixed with old straw. At least, you hope it is straw. The smell tells a different story. Rotting food, waste, mold, old blood, and wet stone. Imagine leaving a bag full of sweaty clothes in your car for 6 months. Now make it 10 times worse and never let fresh air inside. Welcome home. Your stomach tightens. Not because you're hungry, but because your body immediately understands this place is dangerous. You knock on the door, but nobody answers. You call out and someone laughs from another cell. Then another voice shouts. Not words, just shouting. Eventually, you stop calling out. You've already learned your first lesson. No one comes because you're uncomfortable. Hours pass, or maybe minutes. Time begins to melt without clocks, without sunlight, and without routine. Your brain starts losing its grip surprisingly fast. Modern people complain when the internet goes down for an hour, but you don't even know if it's still Tuesday. Then, footsteps. Metal scrapes against wood, a hatch opens near the bottom of the door, and a rough hand slides in a wooden bowl. Inside is something that vaguely resembles soup. Mostly dirty water, floating barley, maybe cabbage, maybe something else. You don't ask, you just eat. Not because it looks good, but because tomorrow's meal might be smaller or never arrive at all. Water comes in another cup, cloudy and stale, sometimes collected from rain, sometimes from wells, sometimes from places you don't want explained. Getting sick isn't bad luck here, it's almost expected. As night falls, temperatures drop sharply. Stone walls don't hold warmth, they steal it. You curl into yourself, but then the straw beneath you moves. You freeze. Then you hear it, scratching. Rats. Lots of them. They're not interested in attacking you yet. They're looking for food. Unfortunately, you're sharing the room. Morning doesn't arrive with sunlight. It arrives with noise. Chains dragging, doors opening, someone crying, someone praying, someone asking for help that isn't coming. You realize you've slept maybe 3 hours. The rest of the night was spent waking every few minutes, cold, hungry, covered in insects. Fleas, lice, bedbugs, entire groups of parasites have already claimed this prison long before you arrived, and unlike the guards, they're extremely active. By the second day, your skin constantly itches. You scratch until you bleed, and the tiny cuts become infected almost immediately. There are no medicines, soap is rare, clean water is precious, and every wound is an invitation. Your body begins fighting dozens of small battles at all times. Outside, medieval medicine isn't very effective. Inside prison, it's practically non-existent. If you develop a fever, that's your problem. The guards aren't harsh because they enjoy it. Most simply don't see you as a person anymore. Your inventory, a problem waiting to disappear. Around midday, you hear voices nearby. Another prisoner, older, whispers through cracks in the wall. He tells you something important. Don't eat too fast. Hide part of your bread. Never insult the jailer, and never offer extra information. Not because he's your friend, but because prisoners survive by sharing knowledge. It's the closest thing this place has to community. You ask how long he's been here. He pauses and says, "I stopped counting." That answer stays with you. By day 3, your muscles already ache, not from work, but from doing almost nothing. Humans are not designed to sit on damp stone for days. Your back stiffens, your knees hurt, your shoulders tighten, and every movement reminds you how fragile your body really is. The smell somehow becomes worse, or maybe your senses become sharper. Buckets overflow, the chamber pot has not been emptied, and the floor stays damp. Illness spreads quietly. Dysentery, typhus, tuberculosis, names you will not learn, only symptoms you will feel. One prisoner starts coughing, and by evening, half the corridor is coughing. You suddenly understand something serious. Your biggest enemy is not execution, it is infection. On day 3, you finally leave your cell. For a moment, your heart races, hoping for freedom. Not quite. You're walked into a courtyard with several other prisoners. Most avoid eye contact, some look thin, others are covered in bruises. One man limps badly, another has rope marks around his wrists. Nobody speaks loudly. Hope has become expensive. Fresh air hits your face, and for 30 seconds, you remember what life used to feel like. Then you're handed a bucket. Work begins. Cleaning, moving waste, hauling stones, anything unpleasant. Prison labor is not rehabilitation, it is simply useful. The guards shout constantly, "Move faster, do not stop, do not look up." One prisoner collapses, nobody rushes over, he's dragged aside and work continues. That's another lesson. This place doesn't stop because someone suffers. By now you've lost weight, your face looks thinner, and your hands shake slightly. Hunger changes people. At first it hurts, then it becomes background noise, and then strangely you stop feeling hungry altogether. Your body begins saving energy, you move slower, think slower, and dream about food. Bread, butter, hot stew, things you would usually ignore in your normal life, now become luxuries. On the 5th night, something wakes you, whispering. Someone nearby is praying, not for release, but for an end. The words are quiet, almost peaceful, and you realize that's somehow more concerning than shouting, because it means they've stopped believing tomorrow could be better. The psychological weight becomes heavier than the physical one. Humans need certainty, even bad certainty. Instead, you have questions. Will anyone remember you? Will there be a trial? Will your family know where you are? Or have you simply disappeared? Modern prisons at least operate inside structured systems, but medieval prisons often operated inside chaos. Records vanished, witnesses disappeared, officials changed, and justice moved slowly. Sometimes it never arrived. Day 6. Rain begins, and you hear it through the small slit above. Water leaks through cracks, the floor becomes mud, your blanket stays wet, and your clothes never dry. Cold sinks into your bones. The rats seem larger tonight, or perhaps you are simply weaker. Sleep comes in small moments, and your dreams become strange. Sometimes you are sitting at your family's table, then suddenly you're back inside the cell before taking another bite. You wake up disappointed every single time. Hope itself becomes difficult. By the 7th day, you've changed, not because you've become stronger, but because you've adapted. The smell doesn't shock you anymore, the darkness feels normal, and the noise becomes background sound. That's the most surprising part. Humans can adapt to almost anything, even uncomfortable places. Then the door opens and your name is called. Your heart beats faster. This could be freedom, questioning, or another cell. You don't know because nobody tells prisoners what comes next. You step into the hallway, your legs feel weak, and the sunlight outside is bright. 1 week, just 7 days, and already your body feels years older. Your clothes hang loosely, your skin has bug bites, your stomach is empty, and your mind has learned to expect the worst. Many prisoners didn't stay only a week. Some stayed months, others years, and some never walked back out. History often remembers leaders, generals, and battles, but it rarely remembers the ordinary people who disappeared behind stone walls without leaving a record behind. No statues, no paintings, no famous last words, only silence. And perhaps that's the most notable part of all, not being inside a medieval prison, but realizing the world outside might never even notice you were gone.